I asked my buddy Kevin Connolly if he would jump on the show and talk to us a little bit about, his Entourage days, as well as what he's doing now. So let's bring him to the show right now. Actor, podcast network owner, whatever you want to call it, Dolphins fan and hockey aficionado, Mr. Kevin Connolly. What's up, buddy?
How are you? Thanks for having me on, Ryan. Good morning to you.
Good morning. So I was telling the guys here about the Victory podcast. This was something you kind of came up with. You started a company called Action Park Media. And in the process, Doug Ellen and Kevin Dillon and you decided to put together, Entourage was such a huge show in the mainstream for so long, and to kind of bring it back in the eyes of the fans through episodic podcasts. Tell us about that show and what you're doing with it right now.
Well, it's funny because we're all, a little bit older, so we're kind of from a different generation. So just trying to make Kevin Dillon understand what a podcast is was was interesting in itself. And I think that, I had been doing it for a while, but when I approached Doug and Kevin about doing it, it's just sort of like, well, what is it? What exactly does it entail? So at first it just kind of started out as us having fun, but it's become real nostalgic, and, time flies by so fast that you blink your eyes and you go, man, it was 15 years ago that we shot that episode. So it really is sort of like podcast DVD commentary. We go back, we talk about what we remember filming this episode or that episode, which is also funny because what time does. Everybody has a different memory of certain stories, but we really have had a blast, and it's just kind of exploded. And now we're kind of branching out and, doing interviews. We had Charlie Sheen on the other day, which was pretty wild, but we're still having fun. And as long as you're having fun doing it, that's the way to keep it going, because you could burn out on these things, So,
most of our viewers and listeners were huge fans of the show. Kind of just take us back to what the beginning of that was like and how quickly it escalated into this, this mainstream phenomenon, and where you couldn't, walk down the street in LA without, it was, and you filmed in LA too, which was crazy all over the place. Just kind of tell us about what that was like to be a part of.
Well, and also too, remember, this goes back to pre-social media, right? So there was no, Instagram and the Twitters of the world were just getting started. There was no TMZ. If somebody wrote a story about it was in the National Enquirer, so
right.
we were like the little engine that could. We started out as a small show, but at the end of the day, we had the 5,000-pound gorilla, which is HBO, behind us, and they hung in there with us, and the show caught on. And you mentioned LA. LA became in the Hollywood area became sort of the sixth character almost, for lack of a better term. People would watch the show and be like, oh, my God, I eat there. And people would come to L.A. and visit. And, we really put Earth Cafe on the map. Too bad we didn't have a little piece of that restaurant,
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.